following celebs and legends all helped turn the 2020s into one of the most successful periods in company history. For the most part, and with this part-time ranking only focusing on runs, the likes of Stone Cold Steve Austin and those much-loved faces who simply stopped by for a few Royal Rumble cameos unfortunately didn't qualify. But they were still awesome, baby! So with all that in mind, I am Gareth here from What Culture Wrestling, and here is every WWE part-timer of the 2020s so far, ranked from worst to best. Number 11, Shane McMahon. The 2020s have already been a decade to forget for the son of the boss. If unleashing the bizarre world of Raw Underground and warring with Braun Strowman at WrestleMania 37, after covering his quote-unquote stupid rival with green slime wasn't bad enough, Shane McMahon then went and ruined the 2022 Royal Rumble match too. Fantastic stuff. In his attempts to make himself the center of attention during that year's over-the-top rope spectacular, Shane O'Mac dumped out Kevin Owens, couldn't even get himself over the ropes when Brock Lesnar attempted to eliminate him, and was swiftly booted from the company after earning some sizable backstage heat for his foolish actions as the match's lead producer. But you unfortunately can't keep a McMahon away from the business forever, and Shane was once again back on screens by WrestleMania 39. And what did the returning Daredevil do during his surprising first one-on-one battle for 2 years? Destroyed his leg about a minute into his Miz fight before Snoop Dogg saved the day with a surreal people's elbow. There goes the money! Number 10, Lita. While Lita had previously popped back into the WWE sphere to kick some ass in the odd tag and Royal Rumble match in the time post-horrendous 2006 wholesale departure, it's the Pioneer's work from 2022 onwards that has really felt like a much-deserved and rather respectful retirement tour of sorts. Along with another enjoyable performance in the 2022 Royal Rumble, Lita then went on to face Becky Lynch at that year's Elimination Chamber, with the star noting how that Raw Women's Championship battle finally gave her peace after all these years. Lifting the Women's Tag Team Championships alongside the man, and teaming with longtime pal/rival TRISH Stratus were lovely moments too, even if all those late highlights ultimately led to the latter turning on both her and Lynch down the road. The storylines and matches themselves may not have been the most gripping, admittedly, but seeing Lita once again lift gold and finally being treated with the respect she always deserved has still been a delight. Number 9, Goldberg. Now sure, folks were understandably ready to riot in the wake of Goldberg obliterating The Fiend at the start of 2020 in Saudi Arabia, but it's worth remembering that he was then happy to put over Braun Strowman at that year's empty show of shows, making the monster among men feel like an unstoppable force as he shrugged off a few spears to lift his first Universal Championship. And after sitting on the sidelines for 9 months, the man once again returned to help make another full-time babyface seem like an even bigger deal, this time falling to Drew McIntyre at the 2021 Royal Rumble. 2 more meaty Monster Mash feuds would then bring Goldberg's time with the company to an end in the coming months, with the former World Heavyweight Champion going 50-50 with Bobby Lashley in a pair of titanic clashes, before finally being bested by Roman Reigns at Elimination Chamber 2022. The decade may have started off controversially for Big Bill, but during what now seems like his final run on WWE programming, he certainly did his part by making everyone from the Scottish Warrior to the Tribal Chief look like absolute badasses. But what's been your favourite Goldberg blockbuster? Let me know in the comment section below, my friends. Number 8, Johnny Knoxville. When it was announced that none other than Johnny Knoxville would be surprisingly entering the 2022 Royal Rumble, the average fan likely assumed this would be little more than a way to hype up his incoming 4th Jackass feature, as he allowed himself to be brutally thrown around a squared circle for a few minutes, and that would have been just fine. But far from being a one-and-done deal, Johnny actually threw himself into a glorious feud with Sami Zayn on the road to WrestleMania, with the two memorably clashing on SmackDown during the Royal Rumble, and eventually on the grandest stage of them all. And it was during that show of shows encounter when Knoxville and Zayn brought their consistently hilarious rivalry to a spectacular end, transforming a typical anything-goes plunder brawl into a live Jackass stunt show. The two remarkably produced one of the most entertaining and exhilarating contests in recent Mania history. Wee Man did a body slam, for crying out loud. Knoxville is very much still open to the idea of returning for more in-ring chaos in the future too, so maybe he'll rise even further up these rankings with a few more ridiculous showings in the coming years. Number 7, Trish Stratus. While your mileage may vary when it comes to her never-ending war with the man, there's no denying that Trish Stratus' presence on the Red brand from February onwards has brought with it a decent amount of positives, along with regularly proving she can still offer something in between the ropes. The WWE Hall of Famer's latest heel run has also given recent call-up Zoe Stark a chance to properly break out on the main roster alongside her devious mate. It's a shame the iconic former women's champion wasn't given the chance to properly close out what could be her last substantial spell working on WWE TV, with an epic SummerSlam blow-off against one of the biggest full-time names on the roster. However, once this hit-and-miss 6-month potential epilogue does reach its end, hopefully those memories of one last triumphant WrestleMania moment alongside her fellow legends, and the work she's put in to elevate the ladies around her, will overshadow the occasional awful promo and disappointing double countout. She may even receive the odd thank you too. Number 6, Pat McAfee. Raising the celebrity bar back in August 2020, the loudmouth Pat McAfee put in a remarkable performance opposite Adam Cole at NXT TakeOver 30, executing a stunning swanton to the outside, springing around the ring like he'd been doing this his whole life, and even eating a wicked Panama Sunrise during his losing effort. A near 5-star War Games outing would follow as McAfee opted to inevitably hurl himself off the top of the structure, with the natural part-time sensation then finding himself in the center of one of the oddest attractions WrestleMania 38 had to offer. Another admirable showing opposite Vince McMahon's chosen one, Austin Theory, soon led to the ridiculous and admittedly quite uncomfortable sight of a withered boss scoring a win over the celeb, but receiving a beer-soaked stunner shortly after, once again producing a respectable and sporadically wonderful fight with bum-ass Corbin at SummerSlam, and managing to get through a Mania Miz squash without pulverizing his leg, have all now established McAfee as one of the finest part-time in-ring workers WWE can call on. And he's not bad on commentary either. Number 5, John Cena. The absolutely deafening pop that met John Cena's surprise comeback at Money in the Bank 2021 was enough to bring a tear to the eye of everyone who'd spent the prior year getting excited about a trip to the shops. And the weeks of sensational promo duels between himself and his one-time verbal punching bag were just as exhilarating, with this part-time face that ran the place bringing the very best out of a Roman Reigns, who was finally comfortably sitting in Cena's spot at the head of the table. Their eventual SummerSlam main event fight was built on the idea of Cena only needing to keep the all-conquering tribal chief down for 3 seconds to bring down his empire, and the dramatic blockbuster further cemented Reigns as the industry's true top star. Both Bray Wyatt and Austin Theory have also been given the Super Cena rub since the beginning of the decade too, with the former being one of the most absurd and creative cinematic matches of the pandemic era, and the latter being the biggest moment of the former US champion's underwhelming WWE career so far. Number 4, Bad Bunny. When this Grammy Award-winning music star first wandered into the Thunderdome during the 2021 Royal Rumble, not a person on this planet foresaw Bad Bunny turning into one of the most successful celebrity workers in wrestling history. But just a few months later, the bloke initially found spitting out lyrics as Booker T awkwardly flexed his biceps on the ramp was putting on a truly remarkable display alongside Damian Priest versus Miz and Morrison on the grandest stage. Not content with simply showing up and unleashing a snooky splash, Bad Bunny put in some serious work at the PC, with those hours of bumping leading to magnificent Canadian destroyers and perfect Falcon arrows. But the best was still yet to come. A year on from being F5'd by the Beast at the 2022 Royal Rumble, and arguably being the most popular surprise entrant on the night, Bunny went to war with his one-time pal Priest in his own backyard at Backlash, and the fiery Puerto Rico crowd lit a fuse that would eventually lead to the explosion that was the pair's gripping street fight, with this fearless Bunny flying, being sent crashing through a table in the audience, and ultimately producing one of the greatest WWE moments/matches of the decade alongside the LWO. Not bad, Bunny. Number 3, Logan Paul. Had his SummerSlam 2023 showdown with Ricochet been the social media superstar's first ever scrap in between the ropes, the world would no doubt be losing its mind over Logan Paul's exceptional spinning DDT and Spanish Fly on the outside. But the majority of folks were actually a little underwhelmed by it, mostly due to just how ridiculously outstanding his other displays had been opposite the likes of Roman Reigns, The Miz, and Seth Rollins over the last year or so. After a somewhat unwanted appearance at WrestleMania 37 ended with him being stunned out of Tampa, cheers KO, Paul quickly showcased his phenomenal athleticism and ability to naturally rub audiences up the wrong way during a victorious debut at WrestleMania 38 against the Mysterios. And while fans weren't exactly in a rush to support him during his eventual fight against a Miz who turned on him shortly after their Mania moment, Paul only went and gave the A-lister one of his greatest matches to date. Numerous viral moments would then follow, of course, with selfie splashes to the Tribal Chief, Royal Rumble springboard collisions, and Money in the Bank wipeouts, all proving that Paul is a part-timer who is currently in his prime. Thank you! Number 2, Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar did not mess around during his first contest of the decade, absolutely slaughtering half the field during a thrilling 2020 2020 Men's Royal Rumble, before eventually being claymored out of the action by the Scottish Warrior he eventually put over on the quietest stage of them all. The next year or so would be unfortunately Brockless, but when this beast did opt to pop back up in the business at SummerSlam 2021, he wasted very little time reminding folks just how effortlessly entertaining the Wrecking Machine could still be when given the chance to be a charismatic hero. Sporting an absurd new top-knot beard and cowboy hat combo, this tractor-driving, moose-hunting, flip-phone-snapping version of Brock was an absolute hoot, and his SummerSlam 2022 fight against Roman Reigns in particular was one of the greatest chunks of sports entertainment insanity of recent times. Not done there though, Brock also helped create more surreal magic in a brief meaty clash with Omos at Mania 39, and took part in a brutal trilogy with the American Nightmare that ended with Cody Rhodes feeling like the most badass and resilient protagonist in wrestling. And with Brock now seemingly back to being a face post SummerSlam, here's to many more years of this part-timer having the time of his life as the people's cowboy. Number 1, Edge with Beth Phoenix. Edge's euphoric 2020 Rumble return from a career-ending neck injury pop will live on forever, and so too will that epic WrestleMania 37 main event clash against the Tribal Chief and the American Dragon, his stellar trilogy with Seth Rollins, and no doubt surreal time spent tagging with his returning part-timer wife Beth Phoenix. None of it seemed remotely possible even just a few years before the start of this decade, but here the WWE Hall of Famer was, throwing down with demons inside of Hell in a Cell, winning Royal Rumbles and beating the piss out of Randy Orton once again. Even his failed 2022 heel turn managed to lay the foundations for the Judgment Day faction that is currently running Monday Night Raw. So if this icon does decide to finally call it a day on his own terms after his epic 25th anniversary fight with Sheamus, then he can hold his head high as the undisputed greatest WWE part-timer of the decade. And that's our list. Do you agree with our WWE part-timer rankings? Well, let me know what yours are in the comments section down below, and don't forget to like, share, and click on that subscribe button while you're down there. Also, if you like this sort of thing, then please head on over to whatculture.com and find some more fantastic articles just like the one this video you're watching right now is based on. I've been Gareth from What Culture Wrestling. Cheers for watching this video today, and hopefully you keep doing it full time. Bye bye!